Hey everybody, this is Sean from GoPart.com. Today we're here working on a 1996 Toyota 4Runner. For this installation video, we're going to be working on the tail light. This is going to be pretty much the same for any 96 to 02 4Runner. Pretty simple procedure. We're going to be replacing the entire assembly. We will show you how to do the bulbs as well. Sorry for the moving camera. We'll be putting it on a tripod in a moment, but just so you have an understanding of what we're working with here to get the job done. We're going to have a 10mm socket ratchet with an extension. Phillips head screwdriver. Mine's a ratcheting screwdriver. You don't necessarily need yours to be. Small flathead screwdriver. That's going to help us with the wiring harness. And then of course I have my cup of coffee, which is always important when you're working in the morning. So without further ado, now we will be battling the sun just a little bit. I apologize for that in advance. So we'll be dealing with a little bit of shadows and whatnot, but we should be able to see everything just fine. The first step is we're going to go ahead and take a 10mm socket and a ratchet with an extension. We're going to loosen two 10mm mounting bolts here and here. So we'll go ahead and take care of that right now. Okay, now, whenever we're going to pop this out, there are two guiding pins, which I'll show you in a moment up close, that actually hold the assembly in from this direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out slightly, and then we're going to pop it to our left. Okay? And then it comes right out. And these are the two pins here. These two pins slide in to these two clips here, and that's what kind of helps keep the assembly stabilized. Now from here, if you want to change bulbs, you could just simply unscrew the wiring harnesses, pull it out, replace the bulb. The bulb will pop right in the socket. But if you have a damaged assembly, we're actually going to have to disconnect the wiring harness, which they made sure to put it inside here instead of making it nice and easy for us out here. So for our next step, we're going to have to remove some of this paneling. It's really easy, it takes just a couple of moments. It's just a little bit cramped back here. So we'll go ahead and show you that right now. So we're going to go into free mode for just a moment here. We'll get you back on a tripod in a moment. What we're going to be doing is we are actually going to be loosening these 5 Phillips head screws here, and those hold this trim panel here, and that'll allow us to pull this trim panel here off, giving us access to the wiring harness and the third mounting bolt. Now I have a 10mm wrench in my hand. You can use a socket and a ratchet for the final bolt. I find it's a little bit easier because it's a little cramped, so I like to use just a wrench instead. So we'll go ahead and get to that. Five Phillips head screws. Now, with those screws out, you can go ahead and it's going to take a little bit of force. You can go ahead and pull up this trim panel. Now, I've actually had this off before, so it comes right up. Don't have to take it the whole way off. If you're doing both taillight assemblies, you probably want to go ahead and take it the whole way off. For our purposes here, we just need to lift it up enough so that way we can pull this trim panel off here. Okay. Now I'm going to do my best to get you a really good shot of what's going on inside here. But as I mentioned before, it is a little cramped. So you pull up the first trim panel, and then you can pry this away from the frame. You have these little clips that hold it to the frame here. And you want to be careful not to damage your molding. It will give a little bit, but you always want to be careful not to damage the molding. So we're going to pull this back, and I'm going to see if I can't get you a really good shot here of what's going on. You see our wiring harness there, and right back there, I don't know if you can see it, there's a 10mm bolt that secures the wiring bundle to the frame there. If you can't see it in the video, just trust me, it's there. And that's what we'll use the 10mm wrench on. So we're going to disconnect the wiring harness as well as loosen that 10mm bolt, and that'll allow us to fully remove the taillight assembly. So just to go ahead and show you where we're at, we have the wiring harness disconnected, as you can see. I use a little flathead screwdriver to go ahead and disconnect that. That 10mm bolt, there you go, now you have a good shot at it. That's going to connect a couple of wires to your chassis. Now there's a small retaining clip, let's see if I can get this, right here. Now, it looks here that if I wanted to get that out, I might have to pop it off, which could lead to it breaking. Now there's nothing wrong with our tail light, so I'm not going to do that, and I'm just going to tell you that would be the last step. Once you pop that retaining clip out, you'll be able to pull the entire assembly, including the wiring harness, from the vehicle here. And here's a better look at those two posts there. The handheld's kind of killing me here. Here we go. So that's as far as we're going to bring it. Now, you'll be able to pull the entire thing out. Like I said, just don't want to damage this vehicle's clip because there's just no reason. This tail light's perfectly fine. You could go ahead and use some wire ties or something like that to secure that clip back, but just make sure that you mount the grounding wires there with the 10mm bolt back to the chassis, and then you'll be in good shape. So we're going to go ahead and reconnect our wiring harness, assuming that we have already fed the harness through the opening here. We're going to go ahead and reconnect it, and then we'll start mounting the taillight assembly back to the vehicle. And now what you're going to do whenever you're reattaching, you want to make sure everything's connected up, right? And we have our wiring harness in, it's secure, it's snapped into place. 10mm bolts there holding everything together. So these retaining pins are going to snap right into the vehicle chassis there. So what you want to do is you want to line them up. You want to be firm. You're just going to pop those right back into place. Make sure everything's good and together there. Okay. We're going to go ahead and mount the tail light. Use those pins to make sure you have it in the proper place. Tighten up our 10mm bolts. Now when you tighten these, you want them to be firm, not overly tight, but definitely tight enough that your tail light doesn't go flying off of the off your vehicle when you're on the freeway, you know. Okay. And now to finish up, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and tighten those 5 Phillips screws that are going to secure this trim panel to the vehicle. So you want to snap that down and into place. Okay. And then we're just going to tighten up the screws. And when that trim panel's in place, we're all set. You want to go ahead and test your tail light to make sure everything's installed properly. But there you have it, with just a couple of tools, a little bit of time, 1996 tail light.